Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you a touching and meaningful story called ** The Power of Kindness, the story of a poor boy. ** This story is simple, but it carries a powerful message about life, about people, and about how a small act of kindness can change everything. As you listen to this story, try to relax, enjoy the narrative, and learn some new English words and expressions. Stories are one of the best ways to learn a language because they help you understand words in real situations. So sit comfortably, listen carefully, and let the story begin. Many years ago, in a quiet village surrounded by green fields and narrow dusty roads, there lived a poor boy named Daniel. Daniel was only 12 years old, but life had already taught him many difficult lessons. He lived with his mother in a small old wooden house at the edge of the village. The house had only one room, a small table, 2 chairs, and a simple bed. When it rained, water sometimes came through the roof, and in the winter the cold wind entered through the cracks in the walls. Daniel's father had died when he was very young, so his mother had to work very hard every day just to buy food and keep them alive. Daniel's mother was a gentle and hard-working woman. Every morning before sunrise she walked to the homes of richer families in the village to wash their clothes, clean their floors, and help with any work they needed. The money she earned was very little, but she never complained. Even though life was difficult, she always tried to teach Daniel important values. Every evening, after a long day of work, she would sit next to him and speak softly. She often told him the same sentence again and again: "Daniel, we may be poor, but we must never let our hearts become poor. Always be kind to others, because kindness is the greatest wealth a person can have." Daniel listened carefully to these words and kept them deep in his heart. To help his mother, Daniel also worked. Every morning he woke up very early, sometimes before the sun appeared in the sky. He took a small bag of newspapers and walked several kilometers to the town market where many people gathered. There he sold newspapers to travelers, shopkeepers, and workers who wanted to read the daily news. The job was not easy. Some days people ignored him, some days they refused to buy anything, and sometimes the weather was cold, windy, or rainy. But Daniel never stopped trying because he knew every coin he earned helped his mother. One winter morning was colder than usual. The sky was grey, and a strong wind blew through the streets of the market. Daniel's hands were cold and red from holding newspapers in the freezing air. He had been walking and calling out to customers for many hours. "Newspaper. Fresh news. Today's newspaper," he shouted again and again. By the afternoon he had sold almost all of them, but he felt extremely tired and hungry. That day he had not eaten anything since morning. Daniel reached into his pocket and counted the few coins he had earned. It was not much, but it was enough to buy a small piece of bread from the bakery on the corner of the market. The warm smell of fresh bread filled the air as he entered the small shop. The baker handed him a simple loaf wrapped in paper. Daniel thanked him politely and walked outside. Finally, he thought, he could eat something after such a long day. He sat down on a wooden bench near the street and slowly opened the paper around the bread. The smell was wonderful, and his stomach felt empty. Just as he was about to take the first bite, something caught his attention. Not far from him, near a cold stone wall, sat an old man. The man looked weak and exhausted. His clothes were old and torn, and his hands trembled slightly from the cold. His eyes slowly moved toward the bread in Daniel's hands. The look on his face clearly showed that he was very hungry. Daniel paused. He looked at the bread, then at the old man. Inside his mind 2 thoughts began to fight. One voice said, "You are hungry. You worked all day for this bread." But another voice reminded him of his mother's words, "Always be kind to others." For a moment Daniel stayed silent. Then he stood up, walked toward the old man, and gently held out the bread. "Sir," Daniel said softly, "you look hungry. Please take this bread." The old man looked surprised. "But my boy," he replied slowly, "this is your food. Are you sure you want to give it to me?" Daniel nodded with a small smile. "Yes, I can wait. You need it more than I do." The old man carefully took the bread with shaking hands. His eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, my boy," he said warmly. "You have a very kind heart. I will never forget your kindness." Daniel felt something warm in his chest. Even though he was still hungry, he felt happy. He said goodbye to the old man and began walking home through the quiet evening streets. When he arrived home, his mother noticed he looked tired. She asked if he had eaten. Daniel told her the whole story about the old man and the bread. His mother gently touched his shoulder and smiled with pride. "You did the right thing," she said. "Kindness always finds its way back to us." A few days later, something very unexpected happened. Daniel was walking through the village road after selling newspapers when he heard the sound of a car approaching. Cars were very rare in that village, so he turned to look. A large black car slowly stopped beside him. The door opened, and a well-dressed man stepped out. He wore a long coat and polished shoes. The man looked at Daniel carefully and smiled. "Excuse me," the man said kindly. "Are you the boy who gave bread to an old man in the market a few days ago?" Daniel felt surprised but nodded. "Yes, sir. That was me." The man's smile became wider. "That old man was my father," he explained. "He was traveling through this region and wanted to see how people treat a stranger who appears poor and helpless. When he returned home, he told me about a young boy who shared his only food without expecting anything in return." Daniel felt shy and lowered his eyes. "I only did what my mother taught me," he said quietly. The man looked deeply impressed. "True kindness like that is very rare," he said. "My father asked me to find you. We would like to help you." Daniel was confused. "Help me?" "Yes," the man continued. "My family owns a large school in the city. We would like to offer you a place to study there. Your education will be completely free." Daniel could hardly believe what he was hearing. Study in a big city school? It sounded impossible for a poor village boy like him. But the man was serious. He gave Daniel the address and told him they would arrange everything. When Daniel told his mother the news that evening, tears filled her eyes. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "Do you see, my son? Kindness is never wasted." Soon Daniel moved to the city and began studying at the school. At first it was difficult because everything was new and unfamiliar, but he worked very hard every day. He remembered the sacrifices his mother had made and the opportunity that kindness had given him. Years passed, and Daniel became one of the best students in the school. Eventually, he studied medicine and became a doctor. Even after achieving success, Daniel never forgot his past. He never forgot the cold mornings selling newspapers, the small wooden house, or the simple lesson his mother taught him. Every year, he returned to his village to help the people there. He treated sick villagers for free, helped children continue their education, and supported families who were struggling. One day someone asked him, "Dr. Daniel, how did you become so successful in life?" Daniel smiled gently and answered, "The secret is very simple. My mother taught me that kindness is the most powerful thing in the world. A single act of kindness can change someone's life, and sometimes it can change your own life too." And that is the lesson of this story. You do not need to be rich to help others. Even a small action, a smile, a kind word, or sharing something simple, can create a powerful chain of goodness in the world. Kindness travels from person to person, often returning when we least expect it. Thank you for listening to this story and learning English with me. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more stories that help you learn English in a simple and enjoyable way. And always remember, kindness is a language that everyone in the world can understand.